the MP for Karaga and Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance is joining us for his own views on what happened. Honorable Mohammed Amid Adams, good morning. I believe you were there in Parliament yesterday.
Yes, I was in Parliament.
So what is your recollection of what happened?
Well, I think it was an open, public view that Parliament was supposed to pass the budget yesterday, and we think that what Parliament wants to do was done. The budget was passed. The motion to approve the budget was moved, and the Speaker put the question after the Majority Leader had concluded the debate on our side. The Minority Leader had done his conclusion earlier. So the Speaker put the question and he asked for a voice vote. And as you recall, if you were watching, or for those who were watching, the Speaker ruled, and I quote what he said, "I think the ayes have it." We, the majority side, were voting for it. We were the ayes. So when he ruled that I think the ayes have it, that was the ruling. Then Kofi Amabua got up and asked the Speaker for a head count under, I think, Order 1132. But Order 1132 requires you to challenge the ruling of the Speaker before you ask for a head count. And we all heard him just asking the Speaker under Order 1132, he was asking for a head count. There was no challenge, because challenge has a process. There's a process for challenging the ruling of the Speaker. That was not done. So as far as we were concerned, Amabua was completely out of order. He was asking for something which did not exist. He was asking for a right he did not have. Because if you don't challenge using the process for challenging, as we have seen in the past, then how do you ask for a head count? So that is one side. Then the second side, I've heard some of the managers who saying that we didn't have the number. We had numbers. About 5 of the people were not there. And so if we did the head count, we'll win. So we agreed that, okay, let's go for the head count. Then the Speaker changed his position again. Because if the challenge was not done and they asked for a head count, and we said, let's have the head count, and the Speaker then shifted his position from a head count to a division, then we thought that the Speaker was up to something. A division is different from a head count. The head count, if you know the parliamentary processes, is for all of us to rise up and they will go out and count us. A division is where they mention the name. We actually have to walk out of the house and they mention the name of everybody. And then you say yes or no. So we didn't understand why the Speaker was changing the rules at will, arbitrary pronouncement of rules, contrary to even what the minority had asked for. And that was why we walked out, because we thought that once there was no challenge, then there was no need to even sit back, especially when the Speaker started changing the rules. That was why we walked out. People say we walked away from our budget. I mean, why would we walk away from our budget? We walked away from the abuse of rules by the Speaker, because Parliament works with rules. And so this is why the Finance Ministry thinks that, not just Finance Ministry, the government think that the budget was passed until a challenge is appropriately placed and the other processes follow.
So for you, the Speaker saying, I think the ayes have it, is substantive enough for the approval. But is approval just based on what the Speaker says, or must Parliament communicate the approval? Because if the same Speaker then agrees to do a head count and subsequently is doing this division thing, which means that he has already initiated a process for verifying whatever his decision was. So he couldn't have approved a budget and then at the same time be going through a process for challenging that approval, and then you say that the budget has been approved. You get my point?
Yeah, but let's take it this way. If it is true that some of what challenged the ruling of the speaker, as the speaker wanted us to believe, then it meant that there was a ruling. When there was no ruling, what did you challenge? Now, the same speaker had come round to say that what he said was an opinion, but was not a ruling. But we know, not today, in parliamentary processes, we've known our parliament right from Justice D.S. Anand. Anytime they have to make a pronouncement on voice voting, what do? They say, I think the ayes have it. I think the noes have it. That is the way they have ruled in time memorial. So how would this speaker, engage in semantics when we have records of his ruling on voice votes, since he assumed the speakership role? It's semantics and an attempt to deceive us.
But if the speaker says, I think, just to be clear, usually we hear the speaker says the ayes have it or the noes have it. But if you say, I think, does that not reduce its salience?
Usually we have heard many speakers when they have heard the nays and they have heard the ayes, and sometimes you are not able to tell which one is louder than the other. They have come clearly to say that. Always they do that. I think the ayes have it. That's what they have been doing. And we are very familiar with this.
But now, why did the majority walk out then? Shouldn't if you believe that the minority had fewer MPs than the majority, if you had stayed for the challenge to go through, you would still have won. So why did you walk out?
No, but this is so simplistic. Parliament works with rules. And so when you have a budget that is passed with wrong processes, what does that mean? Somebody can challenge it. Somebody can go to court and challenge it. Okay? And if that person challenges it, the person will win. Because it will be very clear that there was abuse of rules. And that is what the majority did not want to be part of. We didn't want to be part of the speaker's antics.
So as far as the Ministry of Finance is concerned, the budget stands approved pending whatever challenge will be heard today. That's how the Ministry of Finance. But the budget approval is not. Hold on, just to be clear.
We are not running away from the challenge. Once the challenge passes through the right process, we've gone through this before several times. Since this parliament, it started in 2021. We've gone through this, but we always have the budget passed anyway. So we are not running away from, challenged by the minority. They always challenge and always prevail. Okay? And in the particular instance, we knew the price of the others were not there. And this is why some have, said that the speaker was, when he said they were going to mention our names one by one, he was trying to waste time so that the minority people who were not in parliament will eventually get to parliament and turn their vote. Some people believe that was what he was trying to do. Because a simple head count cannot be turned into a division.
Well, I'm not.
His budget, his budget, in our view, is passed. We are waiting for the approval of the estimate. And if the minority will not participate in the approval of the estimate, we will go ahead. We have the majority in parliament.
But who determines the business? Because if today you go and the speaker continues with the process of challenge, is that not what happens? Because unless you're saying today you are not going. So the majority be in parliament today, and if you will, what will be the business? Will it be the approval of the estimate, or it will be the challenge of the so-called approval?
Well, I think the leadership and the speaker will engage themselves and then find a determination on the way forward. But as it stands now, as per the rules of parliament, the budget stands approved. The speaker makes the rulings, but the speaker is not above the law of God.
Maybe we need parliament to communicate to the public, because it does not lie in the mouth of anybody to say a budget has been approved. Parliament is the one who will tell us. So the Minister of Finance is not a parliamentarian, so he cannot tell us. No, I'm just trying to say that.
Parliament done it?
No, but
When has Parliament ever done it?
Because the minority says the budget has not been approved, the majority says it's been approved. So the office of Parliament must tell the public what has happened, because we don't know your rules like the way you people do. But we cannot depend on the two sides, because both of you are saying something different. And the finance minister is not the one who will speak for Parliament. So obviously, the office of the speaker or the office of the clerk must communicate to the public whether whether Ghana's Parliament has approved the budget or not.
No, before the finance minister made a statement, the majority leader, who is the leader of the House, had made the same statement. The finance minister's statement was derived from what the majority leader had communicated to the media earlier. And even if Parliament should communicate to Ghana, when have they done that with all the controversies we've gone through over the last 3 years? Parliament never communicates to the public. No, they don't do that. And you know that the speaker is from the NDC side. And why would the speaker, as the head of Parliament as an institution, communicate to Ghanaians? He has uttered this confusion. Why do you think he will communicate, what he has uttered to the people of Ghana? And why would the minority even also issue a statement? You saw, I'm sure you've read the statement by the minority. Why would they not wait for Parliament to communicate to the public? Why would they rush to issue a statement explaining their side of the issue? That is how Parliament works. Okay? But what is curious for me is this. Why is it that over the last 3 years, the minority has tried to disapprove, to vote out the government budget? Do they want this country to become ungovernable? Because without a budget, how do we govern? They want to stampede the government that has been given a clear mandate to govern. They want to stampede by their numbers so that this country becomes ungovernable. We cannot pay salaries. We can't pay salaries to teachers, to the police, to the military. This budget in particular has been a very progressive budget. The Ghanaians are calling for roads. We've allocated 3 billion cedis to the road sector, and we are going to clear arrears of about 6-7 billion cedis in addition. The road sector alone is going to get almost 10 billion cedis in order for us to complete road projects across the country. Ghanaians are crying for it. Social interventions, leave has been doubled in this budget. School feeding program has been doubled in this budget. Capitation grants, the National Health Insurance Scheme is being given more money than ever before. Capitation, Get Fund has been given more money than they actually needed.
Of course, all of that is pending. All of that is pending the approval of the estimates, right?
That's why I'm curious.
Yeah.
That's why I'm curious. Why the minority who cry loud that they love the people of Ghana? They love the people of Ghana.
Your colleague on the other side, the minority leader, said that you know what they said about the budget. For example, he said there are so many taxes and all. I don't want to debate the budget here, but my point is, what I want to know about procedure is, if they do not take part in the approval of estimates, will you still go ahead and do that?
Once you have the sufficient number, the quorum, you will go ahead and read that we have a quorum. We have more than quorum.
With the sensitive nature of the times we are in the middle of an IMF program and all the things we have to deal with, do you not think the majority can try and build more consensus with the minority to get the proper thing done for both the approval of the estimates and the policy statement itself? Is there a window for that to happen?
When the business of the House was read and the date for this was announced in Parliament, you had what the minority said. He had already declared the position of the minority that they were not going to approve this budget right from that point. So, consistently, disapproving the budget, even this approval stage. So, how do you build consensus with such a person or such a group who have, before the budget was presented, is a definition of the budget? They were approved the budget.
Please kindly reposition yourself. Yeah. The line went a bit odd. So you're saying that the minority's position has been to oppose the budget, so you don't think it's possible to build consensus with them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because they don't want consensus. And before I say this, before the budget is put, the leadership with the speaker, they have discussions. Whatever they agreed with, I cannot communicate that. And then you come to the floor, and then you see a different thing. They play to appease their supporters, as they always do.
All right.
So it is not about consensus. It's about a party that is determined to make this government unpopular, to make this country. They can win power, but you are not going to win power on the basis of this behavior, disregard for the needs of the Ghanaian people.
All right.
As the budget is proposing to address.
Just a final question for you. The minority leader also alleged that there's a stalemate in Ghana's negotiation for the second tranche of our 3 billion because there's a disagreement between the government and the International Creditors Committee regarding the cutoff point for the external debt to be included in the debt restructuring. I think he said this during his concluding remarks on the debate. So I don't know if you had the chance to respond. What is the position on this matter?
Well, there is no disagreement between the government and the creditors over the cut-off date. The government doesn't decide what the cut-off date is. It is the official creditor committee that decides and have a different view from others. And so we are very confident that they will reach a decision very soon.
All right, we'll leave it here. Thank you, Honorable Amin. We had a bad line at the end. We apologize to listeners for this. We'll be speaking to the the Minister of State for the Ministry of Finance, MP for Karaga, who believes, together with the majority, that the budget stands approved. We will speak to the minority leader when we come back on the position, but there clearly is a standoff on the position. And now the minority have said that